Unless you've been living in a cave this past week, I'm sure you've read about the horrendous launch of Maxis and Electronic Arts' latest SimCity title. Having not played a SimCity game since SimCity 2000 so many years ago, I was pretty upset to hear that the launch went so poorly and that so many gamers were left with a purchased product plagued with issues that are still being resolved today. While there were still some outstanding harsh issues with the game, I was willing to give it a shot.
First and foremost, the SimCity franchise has primarily been known to be about single-player games. I believe there were some mods or special versions of older games that added multiplayer aspects of the titles, but in the end, these were all about the single player. So it initially came as a surprise to see that SimCity 5, or what I'll simply refer to as SimCity from here on out, required a constant internet connection to play. I'm very much against this type of DRM, but do have a reliable internet connection in my home now, so from a connection standpoint, I was at least able to play. I began playing this past Saturday morning, and at that time there were 8 North American servers running, all available to connect without a queue timer. Upon connecting to a server, I was taken through a short tutorial that showed me the ropes of the game, and then I was off. Each server that you connect to may store up to 10 separate games consisting of up to 160 total cities that you may build if you desire. What stinks is, if you transfer to a different server for whatever reason, you'll not be able to access the cities stored elsewhere. All of your cities are saved and synchronized asynchronously with the server in real time, which means you can't save your game and reload it if you make a mistake. This also means that if the servers go down, you risk losing your changes that you made to your city if you quit before reconnecting. This situation arose quite a bit over the weekend, however, I never did lose any progress. I played for about 26 hours prior to this review, and I'm not gonna lie, this game is easy to get lost in. When it's working properly, SimCity is seriously addicting as time flies by like nothing. Initially, I thought the graphics were pretty bland, and I still may stand by that a bit, but the art direction is beautiful. The update to 3D is a much needed improvement to the series, and zooming down to the street level to see everything in action is rather entertaining. The look and feel is very much Sims. I maxed the graphics out and ran the game at around 45 frames per second most of the time. Initially, I really enjoyed the background music, but over time it got kind of annoying hearing the same thing over and over. Luckily, for much of my playthrough, I was so in the zone that I just tuned it out completely. The music adjusts itself to what you're doing, so if you zoom in, it will get quieter so you can hear all of the unique sounds from each sim and vehicle. Starting a new game first requires you to select one of 8 maps to build on. Each map has a variable number of regions, each consisting of 4 plots to build cities upon. Here you may determine whether to make your game public or private and decide if you want to play alone or invite friends. Each player will select their own plot to build their city, wherein each city plot holds to it different resources available, like the amount of coal to be mined or the amount of wind blowing through. A single player may claim as many plots as they wish and even build all of the cities on the map themselves. When a single player owns more than one city, all of the other cities owned by that player are paused while they work on the active city. Playing with additional players allows additional cities to be played in real time. I found it kind of neat that these cities can actually work together and things like pollution or crime from one may run off into the others. To begin, you're given a blank slate and have to build a road from the highway that runs through your plot to the beginning of your city. Adding a power plant, water tower, and defining some RCI, or residential, commercial, and industrial zones will cause Sims to start moving in and building a humble town. Initially, I thought the plot you're given was pretty big, but I quickly ran out of room in each of my cities. It's weird that there wasn't an option to change the size of your plat. Roads in SimCity, of course, allow traffic to move around, but this time around they also carry power, water, and sewage beneath them, so you don't have to worry about running lines and pipes. There are a variety of different types of roads, and the density of the traffic allowed on these roads determine the size of buildings that are built on them, and the people that will live and work in them. You can shape the roads in curves now as well, and the buildings that will be constructed will accommodate themselves to this structure automatically. Unfortunately, I did not experiment with this and went for a min-max approach to get the most efficient use of land with squares and rectangles, which to me resulted in an overall bland city with so many rich people that nobody would work for the factories. That's my problem though. SimCity is all about managing the essentials for modern day living. You've got to determine the proper amount of money to tax your residents so they remain happy while still being able to provide them with the amenities they desire, such as water, power, and garbage and sewer removal. On top of that, you've got to provide hospitals, firehouses, police stations, and schools, all while maintaining a positive budget as the city rapidly expands itself. Luckily, a series of elegant charts and graphs help you keep tabs on everything as it happens in real time. Resources in the game world are finite, which forces each city to focus on a series of specializations like education, mining, and trade or tourism. It's much more difficult to make a single wonder city that is completely self-sustained and efficient in everything than it is to create a series of cities that are able to work together as a single unit. Each city in a region may buy and sell resources such as power and water to each other, as well as send their citizens to work, shop, and learn in other cities. There's also a global market that you can buy and sell resources to, where prices are determined by the actions of how every other player in the world are playing the game. Building multiple cities on your own to accomplish this is a time-consuming task, and is quite fun, but I found it to be a lot more fun when I got on Skype with a few friends and we all built our cities together. So while the draconian DRM is bullshit, at least it's fun to play with others. Some buildings are modular in that you may modify them by adding additional facilities, like placing an extra garage on a firehouse, or by adding an incinerator to your garbage dump. All of these contribute to your hourly expenditures, so you've got to manage them carefully to meet the demands of your people. 3 speeds are built in to control the flow of the game, but unfortunately the fastest speed has been disabled because it's putting too much stress on the servers. This really sucks because it's a pretty important mechanic of the game. It certainly is not game-breaking that it's disabled, but it's disappointing that it's not there. With that, the global leaderboards have been disabled as well, which I wasn't too happy about because I couldn't compare my progress to that of my friends for bragging rights, which I totally would have won. There are several DLC available for $10 a pop that add extra building types that look pretty interesting. I have mixed feelings about this as well though, because these also contain non-aesthetic changes, including more efficient transportation options, as well as a perk to increase your tourism. I don't mind paying for aesthetic changes, but I'm not a fan of allowing others to purchase content that could put them higher on a leaderboard. I'm sure this doesn't bother some of you, but I felt it needed to be mentioned. Finally, there's no out-of-the-box modding supported yet, which is a big letdown for a simulation management game like this. As I wrote this review, there were some things I needed to research from the notes that I took while I played, and in doing so, learned some tricks to make things more efficient in my city design. While there are obvious flaws to the game with the DRM and server stability problems, in the end, if you can get around those, it's really a super fun game. Doing that research only made me want to go play it more, which is unfortunate considering Heart of the Swarm and God of War both came out today. The life of a gamer is very rough indeed. Check out the full write-up and screenshots over at ZeitgeistGameReview.com. Stay up to date by following me on Twitter and Facebook, and make sure to check out all of the other great gaming entertainment on the Game Station. Don't forget to subscribe and press the thumbs up button. Thanks for watching.